Mr. Hardy has been hired to solve a bank robbery. The bank has a computer-coded lock which only works with a special program. A button for Chartwell Academy is found near the safe door. The Hardys figure the culprit is a teenage genius computer hacker, just like that one movie. I'm not joking. It happened in a movie, so Joe figures it happens in real life. Joe is an idiot.
Argo Funk Book Review. Argo Funk Book Review.
Frank and Joe pose as the Kenyon brothers from Deep River, Montana. They apply to get into Chartwell Academy, but because Joe is an idiot, he fails the entrance exam. So it's just Frank today. His roommates are Arnie the nerd and Brad Rogers, the rich snob. Frank will have to meet Brad's parents because Mr. Rogers insists on having dinner with all of his son's roommates. Weird. Frank has a hard time understanding his classes, except for chemistry with Jim Castigan, the cool teacher who plays basketball. At a party, Frank meets Jed Wilson, the nerd, and Dwight Trilby, the jock. Dwight gets mad when Frank looks at him funny. Frank accidentally spills soda on Dwight, and Dwight tries to beat him up. Cool Mr. Castigan decides to overlook the violence. What a cool dude! After 4 days, Frank decides it's time to start investigating. I have no idea why he decided to wait so long, considering that this is a mystery book. He breaks into the administration building, where he gets caught by a custodian, but it's just Joe in disguise. And when they're about to check the school's computer, they get caught by a security guard, because Joe turned the lights on while breaking and entering. Again, Joe is an idiot. Joe is fired as a custodian, and Frank is put on a student trial. Frank's defense is to blame Joe for everything, which sounds good to me. The jury finds him guilty, and they recommend that he be expelled. A friendly girl named Sarah Waterbury tells Frank not to worry, the administration never expels people. Sarah is funny and strong-willed, and Frank is definitely attracted to her. Frank has dinner with Brad's family. He introduces himself as Frank Hardy, even though he's using the alias Frank Kenyon in this book. Continuity! Mr. Rogers has his underlings do a quick background check on Frank. Paranoid much? The underlings say Frank Kenyon is a fake name, and Mr. Rogers kicks Frank out of the house. Joe randomly shows up in disguise at this point, just in time for a fire to break out in Frank's room. He leaves after that, so I guess he was only there for the death sequence. Frank has a study date with Sarah. She puts her head on his shoulder, and the moment is so touching he has a hard time remembering his girlfriend. Frank! Callie is an amazing girlfriend. Don't make me hate you. Just when Frank and Sarah are about to kiss, Sarah's jealous ex-boyfriend appears and tries to kill Frank with an oar. Joe visits Frank on campus, and I'm starting to wonder why there's so much Joe in my Frank solo book. Go away, Joe. They see Jed loading a van full of suspicious cargo, which prompts a big car chase. It ends at a dock where Mr. Rogers shows up with a gun and he shouts for Frank to show himself. But the entire thing is a fake-out. Mr. Rogers brought the gun by accident, and Jed's suspicious cargo is electronic jammers he invented, and he's trying to get rid of them because he didn't realize they could be used for evil. Frank fails his English exam because somebody replaced his test with a forgery. Cool Mr. Castigan is disappointed. Sarah comes to console Frank, and she sees that he has investigation notes with his real name on them. You're working undercover, Frank. Why would you even have something like that with you? Frank is forced to tell Sarah the truth, and she helps him figure out the culprits are using the modem in the administration office. So Frank and Joe break into the administration office a second time. By coincidence, both Dwight and the culprit break into the same building at the same time. I guess it was a popular night for breaking and entering. The culprit sprays pheromones into Dwight's face, which turns him into a wild killing machine for 20 minutes. He runs around, tries to kill everything. This leads to an axe-wielding showdown on top of the water tower. So our heroes break into the administration building again after that. They see the thieves are stealing money right now! And conveniently, there's only one phone line in school that's being used at the moment. This was back when you had to use a phone line in order to access the internet. So they go to the room where the phone is being used. The Genius Thieves end up being 3 students who are working for the culprit. The culprit tries to kill the Hardys multiple times. They call Sarah for help, but turns out she's also working for the culprit. Aww. Frank's cute girlfriend is evil! Well, that conveniently solves the problem of whether or not Frank should dump Callie for Sarah. The culprit is Mr. Castigan. Not cool! He chases them to a graveyard and sprays Joe's with the pheromones. Surprisingly, this is not the last time in the series Joe will be thrown into a murderous rage at a graveyard. Joe almost buries Frank alive and he attacks Castigan. Castigan shoots Joe, but the bullet bounces off of his shovel. So he's saved by dumb luck. He's so dumb that dumb luck is the only type of luck he has. He knocks out the culprit, and the other characters appear just in time to wrap up all the various loose plot threads. The end. Post-book follow-up? I thought this book was great until the car chase halfway through. I couldn't really follow what was going on in that scene, and I continued being halfway confused for the rest of the book. It felt like a series of barely connected action sequences. Almost like they switched authors partway through, or they cut out 2 chapters of the story and just replaced them with mindless chases and everything was off. I don't know, it just not good. It was a good idea to split up Frank and Joe for this case, but it didn't work, because Joe doesn't do anything besides piggyback on Frank's investigation. If you're gonna leave Joe by himself, at least give him something to do. Joe had such an easy time entering school and staying with Frank. I have to wonder why they made such a big deal about Joe not being a student. He could investigate anytime he wanted, so why are we forcing him not to be there? Overall, I'm giving this book the average score, because the first half of the book is good, but the second half is a mess, and those two balance each other out. I'd say the best part of the book is Sarah, but it was a mistake to not have her there when she betrayed the Hardy Boys. That was a great opportunity for major drama, which was lost. I give Hardy Boys Casefiles number 9, The Genius Thieves, a 5 out of 10.